Hi there, my name is Thomas Foster. I'm a project manager working with Roseville Hillgate, who are the developer of the former Benfield Motors site. And we're here in Morpeth today to connect with the public consultation on the proposed planning development for the former Benfield Motors site into a new proposed care home with care apartments.
Yes, tell us about what's involved in the development. How many units are we talking about, and a little bit about the size and the scope of the development.
So the proposed scheme is for 81 bedrooms of the care home and then 24 apartments, which are a mixture of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments.
Yeah. And I know, obviously, with the population getting older, I assume that there's an increasing demand for this type of accommodation. Why particularly have you chosen Morpeth?
So there is an increasing demand. So in 2023, it was the first time that there was actually a decrease in beds in this area within a 15-minute drive time. So that decreased from approximately 177 beds. Also, with the population getting older, there's an increase in the numbers of people over the age of 65 by about 19%. So what we're expecting is basically the demand will increase. For example, at the minute there's a current, on average, about a supply versus demand balance in the area. There's a slight oversupply, but by 2025 that will actually turn into an undersupply of beds. And then by 2030 it'll be quite a significant undersupply of beds. Also looking at the surrounding care homes that are available, having a look at anything that is over 30 units, which would be a comparable sort of up to standard care home if you're looking at the care home part of it. The most recent one that was actually built was over 15 years ago. So as you can imagine, wanting to update these, and this new proposal will provide a much more modern, much more up to standard care home as well as care apartments.
And what is it that makes this particular site so suitable for this sort of development?
Well, it's, location-wise, it's right in Morpeth Town Centre. It's got good access to transport links, but not just that, it's also a brownfield site. And it needs a lot of work doing to it. If you're familiar with the area, you'll know that it's an eyesore, and this is what is viable for the site. You can imagine that we've looked at lots of different options. I think we've done 3 formal pre-planning applications on the site to have a look at different types of development for this, and this is something that we have experience in, having developed these in the past, and that's why we're proposing it for the site area.
And what are some of the particular problems that you are going to have to deal with in this site, especially with it being a former garage?
Yeah, so as I was mentioned, with it being a brownfield site, there's a lot of remediation work that needs to go in before any construction work would even happen. There's existing fuel tanks that are in the ground, and what tends to happen with old fuel tanks is they tend to leak into the surrounding ground area. So we will test the ground. We've already discovered the location of the fuel tanks, and we've had a look at the historical records, so we know approximately the number, approximately 3 to 4 fuel tanks. We'll obviously confirm that, assuming we do get planning permission. We'll test obviously all the soil to work out how much remediation has to be done, and then it'll be a case of excavating that and remediating. Other than that, there's quite a lot of services that run across the existing site. They'll have to be diverted to be put into the road as well, so that'll have to take place. Also, with it being Morpeth, it's a medieval town, we're in a conservation area. We've obviously had an initial archaeological investigation done, and no doubt as part of the planning application we'll have to carry out more of an archaeological dig on the site, which will also have to be done before we can start any work.
And what sort of initial reaction have you had from the public? I know today you've only been here for an hour or so, but what's the general feeling that you've had from people?
I think generally, overall, it's quite positive. I think there's a few comments which are concerned over the height and the loss of views, specifically for the Har Hill, the courthouse, and the castle as well.
What sort of assurances can you give to people about that?
The existing building height on the site, we are comparable with the height of that. with the ridge height. We're comparable with the eaves heights of the surrounding buildings. We're definitely not as high as the courthouse, so we wouldn't take anything away from that. We're opening up as part of the development, when we're demolishing some of the existing buildings, you're opening up 2 new views towards the Har Hill as well. So I think overall, you'd actually improve the views of those existing monuments. We've had a heritage impact assessment done that was submitted as part of the planning application, because this is very much sort of weighed in balance as to whether or not there's any impact, whether or not there's an overall improvement. We feel that there's an overall improvement on the views that are there.
So you're fairly confident that there won't be an impact, say, on the view of the Har Hill?
Correct, yeah, correct. Yeah, we'll actually be opening up 2 new views of the Har Hill, which you can't currently see.
Now, I believe that Roseville have experience in other developments in Morpeth, so you're no strangers to dealing with difficult sites in Morpeth, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. One of the directors, David Nicholson, he's had a lot of experience in the area, so we're very familiar with the area. All of us are actually either from or live in Northumberland. So yeah, we do see this as our home ground, and we want to put a really exceptional building here.
Now, I know it's all obviously subject to you getting planning permission, but if and when you did get the go-ahead, when might you be able to start, and how long would it take to complete the project?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough question to answer. I mean, obviously it's all subject to when we get planning permission, and no doubt with that planning permission there'll be a list of conditions that we'll have to discharge going forward. Obviously the remediation that I mentioned and the archaeological dig, but once we've got those out of the way, the actual build process will be about 18 to 24 months.
And I'm sure you would say that a scheme like this is a vast improvement on what has been there in the past.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's obviously always is a subjective question, but I think overall the comments, even those who have put sort of objections online, generally the comment is it's an overall improvement. It's definitely an eyesore that's there at the minute that we've wanted developed for a long time. Part of the reason it's taken so long is the site, as it currently stands, has been acquired over a number of years. And as I mentioned earlier, a number of pre-planning applications working with especially the conservation officer and the local planning authority to try and agree a viable scheme that will work for the site.